Hello everyone, welcome back. It's episode 6 of the Technician's Guide to Terraria's Expert Mode Bosses. I'm Enigmas, and today we're taking a look at the Mecha Mode, Mecha Mayhem achievement. It's all 3 mechanical bosses at the same time, Twins, Destroyer, and Skeletron Prime. We summon them all, we kill them all before morning, 4:30 a.m., at which point they will all either leave or enrage and one-shot us. In order to get an achievement. There's no extra loot, there's no other incentive other than getting the achievement. But in support of that, we've kind of beefed up our arena. This is the arena that we used to kill Destroyer in the last episode. It definitely wasn't going to be enough to do all 3 at the same time. We're going to take a look at what we did, and then we're going to get right into the fight. I wanted to try and basically distribute the damage around the arena so that there were fewer safe places where the bad guys could be. Flying fish. It's been raining for like the last 3 days in game. They just won't go away. We had the super dart traps down the side of the arena here in the last episode. That was all we had to kill the Destroyer. Worked fairly well because the Destroyer has such a large surface area that you can hit with darts to do damage and ultimately whittle it down. But for the rest of the bosses, I was pretty confident it wasn't going to be enough. So we had these 2 columns of spear traps that were in place in the last episode but not wired up. Same with these flame traps, 2 rows that are facing towards the middle here, in place but not wired up. In addition to those, we placed some more spear traps up here, and up here you can see there's a reasonable cluster, 3 or 4 rows all this way. And then down here we did the same thing, but we ran out of spear traps. So you can see there's far fewer spear traps down here than there is up there. And then in addition, we used a bunch of spiky ball traps. We've got a kind of a half circle there, even though it's not even close to a circle, but you get the idea. We got some spiky ball traps here, spiky ball traps along the top, and then spiky ball traps along the top here. And then we've got these solid blocks underneath to kind of catch them so that they'll bounce around in these areas as opposed to simply falling down towards the bottom, and then we would only have trap coverage along the bottom and wherever there were spear traps, and then the darts, of course, passing through. I understand that spear traps do the most damage. As I mentioned, I ran out, and this is basically how many I had. The ones that I've got here, plus the ones that I've got in the other arena setups. That's all I've managed to harvest out of the many, many temples that I've plundered in search of more traps, which is fine. In addition to that, sometimes doing things because it's the best way means very boring after a while, because once you know what the best is, then there's no room for creativity. There's no room to spice it up, to have a little bit of fun. So I understand that other traps interfere with spear traps damage, and spear traps do the most damage, but it's not about doing the most damage all the time. It's about having fun and killing the damn bosses, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to jump right to the encounter now, and we'll see how we fare. Now, as far as the strategy goes, we're not getting too complicated with this one. We're going to turn on all the traps, we're going to make sure that they're working, and then we're going to summon all the bosses and use the teleporter to cycle around the arena and avoid as much damage as we possibly can. I'm not using any heart lamps, those are the ones that increase our regeneration. No campfires, no potions. Using the teleporters exclusively to keep us out of harm's way so that we can survive while all 3 bosses, 4 technically if you count each of the twins' eyes as one boss, are trying to have their way with us. Sometimes it's pretty easy, sometimes we get caught and things get a little bit dicey. You can see that the Destroyer has a tendency to suddenly cover areas that you thought were safe. You have to get out of the way as quickly as possible. Skeletron Prime, he likes to charge, plus he's got 4 different arms that are kind of flailing about all in different directions. The eyes like to do a certain kind of amount of charging, plus the fire breathing and things like that may or may not go through walls, but it doesn't matter if they've charged into the room that you're in anyways. All kinds of things to keep in mind, but the whole thing can be distilled to the simple idea of get the hell out of the way using the teleporters and try and keep the bad guys in the traps as much as possible, because we are working on a deadline. Now, I actually attempted this fight a total of 3 times, including this one. The first one I ran out of time, with Skeletron basically enraging and one-shotting me. The second time, the same thing happened, except I had made some adjustment to the traps. I had added some, I had changed some things around so that we were getting better coverage out of the traps, and I had changed the strategy to cycle faster so that I was getting more time with the bad guys in the center of the arena where the traps were and less time with them actually above or outside the arena, which was kind of the case when I was trying to be clever and spending a little extra time luring them around. But I still got clipped by Skeletron Prime when he enraged. But all that was left was his head. All 4 of his arms were gone. All of the other bosses, or both of the other bosses, were gone. Twins and Destroyer were basically destroyed. And I realized, based on the amount of health that Skeletron had left, that there wasn't going to be enough damage coming out of the traps to kill him before time was up. So I decided to give myself liberty if and only if both Destroyer and Twins were dead and Skeletron's arms were gone, I could finish him off with the yo-yo, because I'd already gone through the entire process of surviving the encounter without any kind of health aids. I think I earned it. It's possible that I may have earned it, the right to kind of step out and say, Skeletron, you're the last one, it's you and me, mano a mano. No more traps, no more nonsense. And I made it with seconds, literally seconds to spare in the day before he enraged and beat the crap out of me again. So I'm going to let you guys watch the rest of this, because it's really, as I described it, it's just cycling around as fast as possible. You're going to see, eventually, there goes the Destroyer. With the Destroyer gone, not much changes, except we don't have to worry so much about teleporting into a room that's completely covered by a giant worm that's going to start doing damage to us right away. We still have to worry about the eyes charging, we still have to worry about Skeletron Prime charging, and eventually the eyes are going to switch over into their second phases, at which point they become a little bit more dangerous. You'll also notice, see all the candy apples all over the arena? Those would, if it wasn't Halloween time, those would be hearts. We're not taking any of those either, so just the reminder, we kind of set this up, it was laziness is what it was, is I don't feel like switching potions into my hotbar when I've got all these summon items there and setting up all these things with the statues and the campfires and the regen lamps. So it turned into, hey, I'm going to make this rule that's going to make it harder on me, when really it was making it easier. Throw that out there. So enjoy the rest of the fights. Next episode, whenever it's ready, will be Plantera. We're going to have to dig out a big arena underground and summon Plantera into some... I have an idea. I don't know how well it'll work. I'm going to record it, whether it works or not, because there's only going to be so many times that I'm going to be able to try it. But I definitely have an idea. And we'll take a look at that in the next episode. So leave your comments and feedback. If you want to be notified about future episodes, as always, subscribe to my channel or follow me on social media. Links for social media in the information box below the video. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.